Boston, the home of the Celtics. Great to have you with us, everybody, live on 2K Sports alongside Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. I'm Kevin Harlan. A quick check now for starting five for both teams. And guys, what are we going to be looking for in this one from Nick Batum?
Well, Batum is one of my favorite players in the league, Kevin, because of the versatility at both ends of the floor. On defense, that huge wingspan allows him to cover multiple positions on the court. And then offensively, he can really run the floor in transition, and he can knock down that three-point shot.
Yeah, he doesn't just have to score through his defense. You know, post players love playing with him because he can shoot from deep and really demands attention when he's hanging out beyond the arc. You can't take your eye off of him when he's out there.
The Celtics are looking to grab one here for the home fans in Boston before heading out on the road. Well, compared to last season, you'd have to say the start to this season has not been quite what you'd expect. They hope to improve their record with the win tonight, certainly.
You know, looking at the Celtics, they performed at a level well below what I thought they were capable of. I mean, I expected a much, much better showing out of them.
You're not the only one who thought that, Clark. I mean, even if they weren't going to be an elite team, I think most people felt they would at least be competitive and solid, but they are really struggling.
Guys, it's no surprise that a young team like the Blazers found it difficult sledding on the road. Not quite the experience or edge needed to put together good performances on a nightly basis away from home.
Now, here's Lillard. Here's Red Hot. Into LaMarcus Aldridge. And the officials whistle a foul on the shot. The bucket's good. He'll go to the line. Well, for the Blazers, statistically, they played as close as you could ask for as to when they played at home, but they didn't really have the roster to protect the rim and Steve forced turnovers, which is always a big help on the road.
Yeah, their interior defense was a problem last year. A lot of teams just ate them up, particularly when Portland would go out on the road. That's one of the reasons they finished 11-30. You have to be able to defend at a high level to win away from home.
Rondo with the ball. And they double up Rondo. Bradley, this one for three. It's good, coming on the assist by Rajon Rondo. Bradley's got himself going with the triple, his first basket of the game.
You know, there are too many drive and dish point guards out there anymore, but Rondo is the epitome of that type of guard in the NBA. He is always looking to make a move and create space for a teammate, and his assist totals reflect that.
Now, here's Batum. 6 on the shot clock. Back to Matthews. With the fadeaway. And that one's good.
Right back at you. They immediately get those 3 points back.
Trading punches, that's how you answer.
Well, Clark, you talked about Rondo's playmaking. I think Steve and I agree. He's led the league in assists per game the last 2 seasons in that very important category, Steve, and I think that speaks volumes.
It's pretty incredible what Rondo has been able to accomplish in the NBA. Fell to late in the first round to the Celtics back in his draft class, but here he is developing into one of the top point guards in the league.
Now here's Rondo. 11 points for him in that last game against Charlotte.
And Kevin, a remarkable night for him passing the ball, just racking up the assists.
Lillard against Bradley. The kick out to Matthews. Dishes to Aldridge. Back to Matthews. Matthews gets the screen from Aldridge. Another 3 for Matthews. Matthews has got 6.
You know, the defense didn't exactly try to fight around that screen, and that's why it turned into the easy basket.
And I think Doris Burke has something for us right now. Doris?
Look, Kevin, here's what the Celtics head coach had to say when we spoke just a few minutes ago. He talked about the respect he has for the game of LaMarcus Aldridge and how tough it will be for them to slow him down, saying Aldridge is tough because he can score facing up or with his back to the basket. And with his length, it's tough to bother his shot. We'll look to deny him the ball when we can and just try to make it as hard as possible every touch. Kevin, we'll see how successful they are.
All right, Doris, thanks. Here's Red Hot. Coming off a solid outing against Phoenix.
Red hot right out of the gates. 4 for 4 shooting.
You know, it's always strange to see how a team will react when they lose one of their biggest stars. Last season, the Celtics were thought to be dead in the water when Rondo tore his ACL, but they actually rallied and went on the winning streak after the injury.
The free throw on from Batista. Well, Clark, as you said, with Rondo and the Celtics, they would go on to win the next 7 right after his injury, and overall Steve played better than expected the rest of the way.
Sometimes that's the way these things go, Kevin. A star player goes down, everybody else kind of steps up, and instead of feeling sorry for themselves, they use it as a rallying cry. And all those role players for Boston really picked up the extra slack, and I thought they made a great push to end that season after the Rondo injury.
Now, here's Lillard after the miss from Bradley. Lillard attacking. The finger roll finish at the bucket.
Pretty impressive. 5 straight makes to start this game.
So for the Trailblazers, their last game, a win against the Suns.
You know, so often in the NBA we talk about how you have to earn your points the hard way, but it didn't seem like that was the case. Everything came pretty easily.
Too many of their points came the easy way, Steve. You're right. On dunks and layups against the defense that didn't really put up much resistance.
Now here's Sullinger, defended by Batista. Rondo passes to Sullinger. He dishes it to Humphries. Outside Rondo. Shot clock at 5. To stop the run. And it's blocked by Batista. Rondo against Lillard. Back to Aldridge. Right side Aldridge. Batum with the ball. Now Green defending. Batum dishes to Matthews. Tries from 10. The shot will not go. Some solid defense here from Jared Sullinger.
You know, we saw the promise last season, Jared Sullinger, a wide body with a really high basketball IQ. Just very skilled as a passer and a low post scorer.
Now here's Bradley. Green. Moves back up. Rejected by Batista. Bradley against Batum. That's tipped. Now, here's Lillard. Pass to Matthews. Launches it. And again, it's the Trailblazers from deep. And for Jared Sullinger, he may have slipped in the draft, but a great situation, Clark, a lot of people feel for him in Boston.
Could not agree more. I tell you, playing alongside Kevin Garnett, played for Doc Rivers in his first year. I mean, you're going to...
So it's Portland now. Outside Aldridge. And the pass to Batista. Sullinger's there. Back to Aldridge. There's the feed to Batum. Pass to Crabbe. Here's Red Hot. Just 5 to shoot. Out of bounds. Boston takes possession.
A chance here, Kevin, to check out how the Trailblazers ranked in the NBA last season. 6th in free throw percentage, 15th in scoring, and as far as team shooting percentage, not really a strong suit for them. They were in the top 20 and tried to compensate for that lack of shooting with better defense.
And this is a good shooting team, Clark. It really shows in their free throw percentage. You mentioned they were in the top 10 in terms of free throw percentage as a team last year. I think it's important for this club to really attack offensively. When they do get to the line, they tend to knock down their free throws, and those easy points go a long way.
We've got Wallace. Marshawn Brooks is out there with Rajon Rondo. Then it's Jared Sullinger, and it's Bogans in at the 3 slot. That's the Boston 5. Brooks outside. Brooks right side. Tries to snap the cold streak. Rondo kicks to Wallace. His 3-pointers off the mark.
Boston had a multitude of problems last season, but the one that seemed to be the most prevalent was the inability to score down the stretch of games. I mean, they were one of the worst teams in the league when it came to scoring in the 4th quarter. Don't take your eyes off of him because he can make plays from multiple spots on the floor. Put the isolated cam on him.
And Doris Burke has a report for us from the sideline.
Kevin, thank you. The Celtics, with the departure of Doc Rivers, going young at their head coaching position. They signed Butler University head coach Brad Stevens, 37 years of age. He may be young, but he's very accomplished. He won an NCAA Division I record 166 games through his first 6 years at Butler, a winning percentage of over 77%. And the Celtics are believers in his ability. They gave him a 6-year contract. Guys, they're confident he is the one to lead this team into a new era.
They all rave about his work ethic. Thank you so much, Doris. Green kicks to Bogans. The Celtics working the ball around now. Bradley passes to Bogans. Back to Bradley. From deep. It's hauled in by LaMarcus Aldridge. And you think of Boston, and you think of all the storied players that have put on the green, all of them so clutch, Steve, when the game was on the line, but that was the opposite for last year's Celtics.
It was, Kevin. It seemed like their scoring dropped off considerably in the 4th quarter. And a lot of that was just without Rondo after the injury. They couldn't generate offense individually. They had to rely on their ball movement. And as you know, defenses toughen up in the 4th quarter and down the stretches of games.
Green left side. Green left side. He passes to Sullinger. Looking to end the run. LaMarcus Aldridge grabs the miss. Aldridge has got 4 rebounds in this game. Lillard outside. Red Hot. That's good. Red Hot's got 6 points.
Yeah, and he's one player who doesn't need a lot of space to get to the basket. He's really crafty. The way he can blast his way straight through traffic, he's really strong.
And the other most noticeable thing about him to me is his passing. I mean, he makes things so easy for his teammates. All they have to do is get to the right spot on the floor, and he'll get it to him.
Bogans dishes to Sullinger. Defended by Batista. Feeds it to Humphries. Expanding his range. Shot is off.
And they needed that hoop to try to stop this run.
They just seem to keep coming up empty. They've got to slow it down and get a good shot.
Here is Lillard. And 2 free throws coming up as he misses that one. Drawing the whistle and a lot of contact there.
And no question, he got bumped on that shot.
Definitely no room for discussion on that one.
Portland shooting their 5th and 6 free throws of the game.
Well, you look back at a season ago, this is a club that made 78% of its shots from the free throw line, so very comfortable with that strike.
And, you know, that just added to their confidence at the offensive end. I mean, knowing that free throw shooting was something they didn't have to worry about gave them a lot of confidence to play freely.
And the first one at the line is good. Boston making a switch here. No free throws good from Lillard. And 3 affair. Portland out in front, just dominating this one. Stay with us, folks. We'll get back just after halftime to start the third quarter.
And now, brought to you by Sprint.
The weekend is finally upon us, and on this Friday night, it's time for the halftime show. A full head of steam for the Trailblazers. They're playing very good basketball. Their offense has been prolific, moving the ball, getting tons of shots, different looks, options everywhere, around the rim, downtown, mid-range. How do you want it? For the Celtics, though, in this one, plenty of work still to be done. A touch-and-go start to the season, their difficulties continuing. And that does it for us here in the studio. Thanks so much for joining me. Now, back out to Kevin and the gang.
The Sprint Halftime Report, presented by Sprint.
And as we return, a view of the beautiful skyline of downtown Boston.
Well, you talk about a franchise having some terrible luck with injuries. Portland is certainly that team. A lot of emerging stars in Rip City have had their careers or tenure cut short because of injury. And the injury bug, once again, reared its head for Portland.
Well, the Celtics shooting a pretty low 34% thus far. Our second half of basketball, and presented by Gatorade. Let's see who's all fueled up and on the floor to start the third. On the floor for Portland. Filling out the wings, it's Matthews and Batum. Aldridge out there with Red Hot, and it's Lillard in at the point. As you said, with the Blazers throughout the ages, they've had to deal with injuries to guys like Walton and Oden, and most recently, Roy. Unfortunately, Steve, starting over is something that they are used to doing.
But they are in a pretty good position to do so right now, Kevin. I think they've been really good in the draft the last couple of years. Obviously, they got a star in Damian Lillard that they can build around. To me, the key is LaMarcus Aldridge. Can they re-sign him? Can he be that dominant low-post guy in Portland for the next 5 or 6 years? He sure has the potential.
And he's good on the second.
Just getting on the court last season was a big triumph for Jeff Green, who was forced to sit out a year after undergoing heart surgery. You look at how he progressed over the season, and he got better with each month. Really inspirational.
And let's catch up with our sideline reporter, Doris Brooke. Doris, over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Red hot in the last game against the Suns was superb. He ended with 26 points, and that scoring outburst set a new season high for him in what was a great exhibition on his part. Numbers like that make you anxious to see what he can do next time out.
Thanks, Doris, for revisiting what was an astounding performance, Clark.
It clearly was one of those games that when we look back on his career, this game will be right there among the best ever that he's played.
Well, he was in the zone from the outset. It was just one of those games where he was feeling it. Everything was going his way, and he attacked, and that's what I like. Once he knew it was his night, he just attacked relentlessly.
Bradley against Lillard. Outside Matthews. Back to Lillard. Shot clock at 6. Fade away. And it's blocked by Bradley. Now Green. It's rebounded by Batista. Red Hot's got his third rebound on the night. Going back to Jeff Green, the Celtics had to be encouraged to see the way he progressed as last season went on.
I thought last year was good for him. He emerged confidence-wise. He seemed to take on a bigger role in Boston. And I think he started to justify that 4-year contract he signed with the Celtics.
Well, let's take a look at where Boston ended up, Kevin, last year in the league rankings. 6th in shooting percentage, 6th in free throw percentage. And they were in the top half of the league in steals as well. Pretty impressive.
And you talked about the shooting in the top 10 in the league in terms of field goal percentage. And that really bodes well when you're a team that's trying to play together. I thought this team was really well coached. They work the ball offensively to find good shots. And for most of the season, they look like one of the best shooting teams in the league to me.
He feeds it to Sullinger. Tries from 7. And it's Portland with the rebound. Clark, this is the first they're seeing of Boston.
And of course, two teams in opposite conferences. They're only going to play twice, one on each team's floor.
So the whistle blows on the shot and 2 free throws for the contact right there. I'll keep talking about, just the lack of meetings between these two teams from different conferences, and probably isn't a whole lot of hostility between, not a lot of emotion, at least right now. All that being said, Clark, it still makes, I think, for a very interesting matchup.
I'd say so. I mean, these West versus East contests give us a chance to see the style differences between the conferences, which are sometimes much more pronounced than you might think.
That's a real good point, because there are different feel, different kind of players, ways rosters are made up, and so on.
No question about it.
The drive by Green. Rondo. And he draws body contact. Looked like a blocking foul, and he was in the shooting motion. So he'll head to the free throw line. It's on Nicholas Batum.
Yeah, he's sort of the guy they look to offensively. Not necessarily in any one area, but just in terms of his all-around game.
And what a maestro he is as well. I can't tell you how many times I've seen him throw what looks like a blind pass, and I wonder where it's going, and suddenly it's right on target in the hands of his teammates for a basket.
So he comes up empty at the line.
Guys, the Celtics went from being a powerhouse in the East and middle of the pack last season, but they still protected their home court as well as anybody. Easy to find inspiration here with the parquet floor under your shoes and the banners hanging over top. Their second half has started quite well. They've been good on 3 of their first 4 attempts.
The Celtics have gone 0-3 and are still looking for that first bucket here in the second half. Just under 2.5 minutes into the third quarter now. Rondo kicks to Bradley. Left side, Bradley. Passes to Humphries. 6 to shoot. Green. He's covered by Matthews. To stop the drought. No good. And the Trailblazers going the other way. You do have to love the parquet floor here, as you said, Clark. Pride certainly a factor last season, as the Celtics were able to finish, Steve, with a 27-13 record here at their home.
And even though the Celtics would end up just as the 7th seed in the East, you knew they would control their home floor, just because of their veteran experience, their talent, their coaching. So they were really able to ride that home court into the playoffs.
Rondo kicks to Bradley. From deep. It's good, coming on the assist by Rajon Rondo. Rondo's got his 8th assist here tonight. Let's give a look now at the 2K leaderboard to see who led the league in assists last year. Number 1, Rajon Rondo.
Well, you'd love to have the same kind of season this year. I mean, nobody was better last year at creating easy baskets for their teammates.
Here's Lillard. 11 points in the game.
You know, Avery Bradley missed the first 3 months of last season after undergoing surgery on both shoulders, fella. I mean, when Rondo went down with his ACL tear, Bradley stepped into the starting point guard role, and I thought performed very well.
Here is Rondo. He hasn't yet put up any points in this one. He kicks it to Sullinger. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Boston needs to get off a shot from beyond the arc. The shot by Rondo is no good. And for Bradley, a tremendous defender, and Steve able to defend either the 1 or the 2.
Well, he's listed at 6'2", but he has incredibly long arms and quick feet. So he's strong enough to guard bigger players, but his best attribute is putting pressure on the ball. It's a nightmare just trying to bring the ball up the floor against Bradley.
One of the best on-ball defenders, wouldn't you say, in the NBA?
Yeah, no doubt.
Now let's send it to Doris from the sideline.
Gentlemen, with the youth movement in Portland last season, Nicholas Batum was getting starters minutes at small forward. Blazers coach Terry Stotts said, quote, "He's such a unique player. Shooting, quickness, length. As a coach, you see the possibilities. He's doing a little bit of everything. But Toom said, I know I do some good things, but I'm working on my weaknesses. I have to be more aggressive. I've got to do it all. Kevin, he's not yet satisfied.
Credit him for continuing to work. Thanks, Doris. Here's Green, using his post move to get the 2 points.
Nice soft touch to drop that one in.
The Trailblazers have gone 5 of 6 so far from the field in the second half. Tremendous efficiency. The pass to Batista. And finishes it off with a one-handed jam.
The one-hand slam is so sweet when it's his hand doing the slam.
Oh, yeah, he is so smooth, even on a power finish like that.
Yeah, that's part of what makes him unique, that combination of power and polish.
Rondo passes to Brandon. Kicks it to Humphries. Rejected by Aldridge. And that's out of bounds. Boston will retain possession. An almost entirely new group here for Portland. Myers Leonard, he's checked in for rest. So it's Portland now. Watson dishes to Freeland. Pass to Wright. And there's the feed to Watson. Rondo with the steal. The guards, Rajon Rondo and Courtney Lee. Inside, Salinger and Humphries. And it's Green in at the 3 spot. That's the Boston 5.
Textbook example there of how to use defense to create offense.
Yeah, beautiful transition play after the steal all the way to the basket.
Wasted no time going from defense to offense.
It feels like they're starting to pick up the intensity as the game itself starts to get a little more tight and close.
Watson with it. Just over 2.5 minutes played now here in the final quarter of regulation. Pass to Batista. Clock at 6. Putting on a show for these people.
I cannot believe he pulled that one out in the course of an actual game. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man. Might as well flaunt it if you've got it, Clark.
Sullinger with a screen for Rondo. Rejected by Batista. And here's Watson. Can't hit. Good tee by Lee.
Well defended, and he's not someone who responds well to that kind of defensive pressure.
The dish to Humphries. A bit under 3.5 minutes have passed here in the fourth. And Sullinger kicks to Rondo. Lee, he passes it to Green. The Celtics working the ball around now. Humphries, no good. Well, it was the Boston Celtics, their last game, a loss to Charlotte.
Well, Clark, they really shot terribly from downtown in that one and eventually paid the price for it.
They sure did. I mean, sometimes you can make up for poor three-point shooting with a strong inside game, but theirs wasn't quite strong enough.
Watson, the pass to Batista. And so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact and he'll shoot 2.
Well, for the Portland Trailblazers, a new training staff hired over from Oklahoma City. They let go of their previous trainer who'd been with the team for 19 seasons. You know, fair or not, I think the seat got hot after all the injuries that were really devastating this team.
First free throw is good. And for the Blazers, statistically the most injured team in the NBA, Clark, from 2009 through 2012.
And the new training staff has advanced in not just injury treatment, but injury prevention. And that's key, using strength bands, recording baseline measurements for muscle strength and flexibility, even using Eastern medicine. So they're not leaving any stone unturned.
Both free throws good from Batista.
Well, you know, last season I think officially brought the immediate championship aspirations of the Celtics to a close. The 7th seed in the East, dispatched in the first round by the Knicks. The rebuild was on in full cycle.
Brooks dishes to Bogans. Here's the three. It's hauled in by Watson. The Trailblazers have gone 5 of 8 shooting as we've come down the home stretch in this final quarter. Dishes to Wright. Feeds it to Freeland. Gives him the lead pass. Here's Batista. Green with the rebound. Green's got his 4th rebound with that last one here tonight. And back to the Celtics, making the playoffs, sure, but, you know, not like Steve back in 08 or 2010.
Well, this has been a phenomenal era with KG and Pierce that is now a thing of the past. But look, they've hoisted a championship banner, very close to another. But it's just time to move on, and that's just the way it is in the NBA. These things go in waves, and the Celtics now in rebuilding mode.
Watson kicks to Freeland. He dishes it to Watson. He feeds it to Freeland. Puts up a 3. The shot is off. And the Celtics going the other way now. Now Bogans. It's Brooks on the wing. Outside, Green. From downtown. It's rebounded by Freeland. Portland's gone 1 of 2 from three-point range here in the 4th. Watson kicks to Freeland. The feather touch on the finger roll. Beautiful.
Well, guys, tonight they came in here and really dictated the terms of the engagement, which is very difficult to do as the visitors.
You're right. That's not usually the way things work in the NBA. It's a great win, and no question, it's going to be a happy plane ride out of here.
8-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Brooks, the pass to Green. He kicks it to Bogans. Lets it go with a 3. And Wright pulls it down. Watson with it. Passes it to Freeland. Off the screen, and the layup is good.
They didn't take their time wrapping this game up. They pretty much did it in a hurry.
Yeah, they had a nice spurt to polish this one off.
And so Portland takes this one, but by a big margin. And this one was such a lopsided victory.
They never let up. They were full throttle from the start.
Thanks for tuning in to the NBA on 2K Sports. For Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Ford, this is Kevin Harlan. We'll see you next time. And now, our Jordan Player of the Game, Red Hot.